Hi, welcome to Kingdom Seeker Circle. Today, we're in the third part of this section of the genealogy. Why? Because I think the names are worth mentioning and really honing in on, because we often just glimpse through it. So, let's begin. The first section of Matthew's genealogy rose from the promise to throne. The second fell from throne to exile. And this final section begins in silence. No kings, no crowns, no land, and no temple. Matthew 1:12 through 17 tells the story of people waiting, still heirs of promise, but there's no longer anyone in power. And it is here in obscurity and expectation that Matthew introduces the Christ. So let's read the text from verse 12 through 17. And after the deportation to Babylon, Jeconiah was the father of Shealtiel, and Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, and Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, Abiud the father of Eliakim, Eliakim the father of Azor, Azor the father of Zadok, Zadok the father of Achim, Achim the father of Eliud, Eliud the father of Eleazar, Eleazar the father of Methan, and Methan the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born, who is called Christ. So all the generations from Abraham to David were 14 generations, and from David to deportation to Babylon, 14 generations, and from the deportation to Babylon to the Christ, 14 generations. Matthew doesn't rush this ending. He interprets it for us. Everything we've been talking about is already there for us in the text. After the deportation, history resumes. Matthew begins exactly where the previous section ends. After the deportation to Babylon, it says, and the exile is still in reference point, but now something subtle changes. The names that follow are not kings. They are not introduced with titles, and they do not rule. This is the genealogy of a quiet survival. God's promise does not end in exile, it moves through it. Zerubbabel is a spark without a flame. One name stands out, and that is his name, and he represents a moment of return, rebuilding, a renewed hope. But Matthew gives him no title, no praise, or commentary. Why? Because Zerubbabel did not restore the throne. The people returned to the land, but the kingdom did not return with them. They lived under foreign rule, waiting. Matthew includes Zerubbabel to show that God restarted history, but that he did not yet complete it. The promise is alive but unfinished. A long line of ordinary faithfulness is shown here. That's the evidence of it. After Zerubbabel, the genealogy continues with names many readers have probably never heard of before. This is intentional. Matthew gives us no dramatic turning point, no revival king, no national deliverer, just fathers and sons. And this is the theology of waiting. God's plan advances not through spectacle, but through ordinary obedience across generations. The Messiah does not arrive in a blaze of power. He arrives at the end of faithfulness no one saw. So Joseph, the husband of Mary, a sudden shift. And then Matthew breaks the pattern. Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom Jesus was born. Joseph is not called the father of Jesus here. Matthew changes the grammar carefully. Jesus is born of Matthew, not generated through Joseph. Yet Joseph remains central because legal descent flows through him. Matthew safeguards two truths at once. Jesus is not born by ordinary human descent, but Jesus still inherits the Davidic line legally. Nothing is accidental here. Who is called the Christ? There's a long-awaited title here. For the first time since verse 1, Matthew repeats the title. Christ, not king, not ruler, not reformer, but Christ. All 14 generations have been moving towards this name. Matthew doesn't explain this title yet. He announces it. The meaning will unfold throughout the whole narrative of Matthew, but the genealogy has done its work. The line is complete, the promise has arrived, and the waiting has ended. Matthew summarizes this with the purpose for this history. Matthew concludes with structure, so all the generations. So he does this for us. This isn't trivia, it's theology. History is not random. God is not reactive. The exile did not cancel the promise. Matthew shows us a God who builds, a God who allows collapse, but preserves through the loss and fulfills at the appointed time. 14 generations, and then 14 generations, and then again 14 generations. There's no coincidence. There's completion. 3 sets of 14. And so the king who comes after waiting, this final list teaches us that God works even when his people have no power. Remember, this was them waiting in patience. So the faithfulness we show in obscurity matters. The Messiah comes not through restoration by old systems, but through a new beginning. Jesus does not inherit a throne. He redefines kingship. And Matthew begins the story not with a crown, but with a birth.